Hi guys, it's day 233 on Bible 1 Year, and today we look at 2 Chronicles 13:1, 15 to 19, 1 Corinthians 14:20 to 40, and Psalm 101 1 to 8. And once again, I'm going to do my usual summary thing. And first off, I want to look at 2 Chronicles and looking at the kind of battle cry really from the king of what is now becoming Judah, the southern kingdom, and Abijah. I don't probably pronounce it far better than I can. Basically, from verse 4 onwards, he's basically they're about to fight against Israel, the northern kingdom, and he's basically standing up there and giving the northern kingdom, stroke it, all Israel, a bit of a yelling and a bit of a saying who he is and who he stands in and all that. And it kind of reminds me at times, that we're told, like, to let the devil know where he stands, or particularly where he doesn't stand, and who we are and what we're in, through Christ and different stuff like that. But sometimes that doesn't always work. I don't know if you've always found that, you're really strong saying yes, God, this God, whatever God, and then you seem to fail, or you don't get follow through exactly what you wanted to do, or you're struggling with something, a temptation is going on in your life. And I felt God really speak to me quite strongly on this. And basically, what I felt God was saying to me, that yes, it's good to know who you are in Him, and it is good to give the devil a bit of a bashing as well. But the most important thing is that you've got to submit yourself to God, and then the battle is His. I think we may have seen in 1 Chronicles that I think I can't remember who it was, and I can't pronounce the name. Another king, particularly beginning with J, and I think it said that the battle is not his, but it's God's, or along the lines of that. And I think this kind of reminds us of the same thing again. Sometimes we do things and we try and deal with it. We don't even necessarily do it on purpose, but we go through these things in life. And do you know what, God? I feel like probably God maybe at times just screaming, just saying, just let go of it, let me deal with it. I'm ready to help you, sort it out for you. And we read in, I think it's verse 14. That's it. And basically, the northern kingdom started to surround um, Judah, basically, from both sides. And when, from verse 14, when Judah realized that they were being attacked from the front and the rear, they cried out to the Lord for help. Then the priests blew their trumpets, and the men of Judah began to shout. At the sound of their battle cry, God defeated Jeroboam and all Israel, and routed them before Abijah and the army of Judah. You know what really, like, kind of sort of was kind of a wow moment for me on here was that, do you know what? The priests didn't get out their swords, didn't get out ready to fight. They got out their trumpets and blasted out, and praise God. And perhaps that's a little lesson for us, that, do you know what, when we're in trouble, when we're in strife, do you know what? Instead of trying to sort it out ourselves, why don't we bring out our own trumpet and just praise God, eh? And it was a little lesson for me, and hopefully it's a lesson for you as well. And the second point I want to follow on through this, actually no, I better not, because I'm doing the summary. Stay tuned for those who want to listen later on. I want to look at the New Testament now, and we're looking at 1 Corinthians, and specifically I want to look at verse 26, 14 verse 26. And basically it says, well, my brothers and sisters, let's summarize. When you meet together, one will sing, another will teach, another will speak special revelation God has given. One will speak in tongues, another will interpret in what is said. But everything that is done may strengthen all of you. And I really like that last line on there, that, do you know what? As a church, and when we're working, do you know what? It must strengthen one another. And I think that just reminds us, and it's so important that, that whatever we do, it must strengthen the church. That's also a big line for those who say the Bible doesn't say you need to go to church, but how can you strengthen one another if you don't go to church? You know, and if you don't fellowship with one another, and so maybe have a think next time you're at church. If you're doing something, if you're helping out, or you want to do something for the church, perhaps ask God to, if you don't know what you can do, perhaps there's something you're struggling with and you want to do something at C3, but perhaps you're struggling to be able to find what that is. And perhaps ask God whatever it is that, whatever I do, I want it to strengthen the church. I want to strengthen the other believers. And that's that for the summary. I'm going to crack on now, finish off with the New Testament bits I've got. Verse 33, this is one scripture I love in the Bible, and it says in here that for God is not a God of disorder, but of peace, as in all the meetings of God's holy people. And I just love that it reminds me of times when I think of different stuff. Is this God or is this not of God? If it's not of order, then it's not of God. And perhaps that's something to help you with as well. And what have I got? Verse 34. Now this scripture, I believe, has probably been misconstrued over the years, and is basically being used against women to basically say that you're not allowed to speak in churches at all, that you're not deemed holy enough, I guess, or whatever. It may have stopped women being able to be, sort of be speakers within the church as well. But basically, I think what was happening at this time, perhaps they had a lot of new converts, and so the women had loads of questions at this time. And so during the meetings, the pastor or the preacher would be saying to it, and probably the women would go, well, why is that? Why is this? Why is that? Why is this? I don't understand this. And probably all it was just saying is that, you know what? If you've got questions here, that's cool. But can you just leave it just after the meeting so the pastor or the preacher can say his word, basically? And that's what I feel that was saying anyway. If anyone else has got anything else to add to that, then please feel free to add as well. Back to the Old Testament, and it was just carrying on what I spoke on really about, the battle cry and defeating the enemy. And it's something that I heard when I was at this trafficking conference at Bethel a little while ago. And what this guy said, someone called Gaz Kilshaw, or something like that anyway. And basically what he said is that when we've defeated the enemy and they've vacated their stronghold, then as Christians, what are we going to do? Are we going to leave that stronghold to be empty in a desert? And then what will happen? Like the word says, that when the enemy is defeated or evil spirits are being cast out, they go into the desert, find 7 more, and come back to where their old home was. And and so what we need to do as a church and as Christians, and I say church, not just C3, but as a church, as in people, a group of people, do you know what? We need to take hold of these strongholds as they are, the vacated ones, and take hold of them, and stand strong in them ourselves. And you know what? Because if you've got half and half, this is what God was really speaking about with the Israelites when they first took over the promised land. He said that when you take over, you need to get rid of all the people, and the reason why that was is that basically you couldn't have 2 sets of people. You can't, the word says you can't have 2 masters. You can't love money and you can't love God, for example. You can't love 2 gods. You can only love one God, and that is, and there is only one God as well. And so, you know what? And for those who just, defeated the enemies and the towns and cleared them away of all the other the peoples that were living there, then they were to build and grow in a strong relationship in the community. But for those who weren't able to do that, then there was constant division and battle within there. And so when we get the opportunities, when we have even when we've actually defeated different strongholds, then we need to go into these previous strongholds and take hold of them ourselves. Finally, I just want to finish off with Psalms, and verse 2 I quite liked actually, and it says in here, I will lead a life of integrity in my own home. And it just kind of reminded me that sometimes when we're in church, we have this holy suit on. We come in, we put our holy jumpsuit on, and then we leave, we take off our holy jumpsuit. And do you know what? We need to try and, live right at home as well. I bet if there was a small camera on our walls at home and then viewed at C3, it'd be quite funny watching perhaps for some, and quite embarrassing as well for maybe others. And so, do you know what? You shouldn't be living as if you've got a camera in your home, because that's just fake living. But you know what you need to do? You just need to submit to God and just ask Him to help you with where you're going in life. God bless you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.